Nothing strikes more fear in the heart of the US government, administration, businesses, and the international world order than losing dollar as the international reserve or trade currency. Don't believe me? Listen in for yourself to what former US President and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump recently mentioned.
The problem with what we have with sanctions, and I was a user of sanctions, but I'd put them on and take them off as quickly as possible because ultimately it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war if we lost the dollar as the world currency. I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen. You're losing Iran. You're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries because there's so much conflict with all of these countries. You don't honor the dollar as your world currency. Is that right? You're not going to do it? No, we're not. I said, that's okay. I'm going to put tariffs all over your product. And they're going to say, sir, we'd love to honor the dollar as the world currency.
Yeah. In fact, the Republican presidential nominee also announced on Saturday his intention to impose a 100% tariff on goods from countries that move away from using the US dollar in international trade. Now, you might imagine why this fuss. But before you understand, let's understand why the dollar, being the international currency, is non-negotiable for the United States. But before that, a little history for the uninitiated. You see, dollar became the international currency post the Bretton Woods Agreement after the Second World War. Till 1971, dollar was international currency but was backed by a tangible asset called gold. So you could get gold in exchange for dollar. But in 1971, Richard Nixon dealing dollar with gold, and since then, the international reserve currency is backed by nothing but mere confidence in the US economy to pay back its debts. What has irked the global financial community since then is not only the dollar not being backed by a tangible asset, but consistent devaluing of the currency and pushing the debt ceiling. Market has been asking, can US continue printing money till infinite times? There have been constant rhetoric to replace the dollar, but over the last 5 years, the dominance of the US dollar in international trade and finance has faced increasing challenges. Let's come back to the present situation. This trend, known as de-dollarization, refers to the process by which countries aim to reduce their reliance on the US dollar as the dominant global currency. You heard that right. Attempts at de-dollarization through initiatives like BRICS are facing significant challenges, making consensus on a common currency and monetary policy difficult to achieve. While dollar dominance has lessened in recent decades, the US currency still accounted for 59% of official foreign exchanges in the first quarter of 2024, with the euro second at almost 20%. This is according to the IMF. Therefore, maintaining the dollar's dominance is a central issue for Donald Trump. A recent summit where China, India, Brazil, Russia, and South Africa explored de-dollarization, this has added urgency to his campaign economic message. Approximately half of the world trade is denominated in dollars, according to the Bank of International Settlements. Recent geopolitical developments, including China's and Russia's attempts to bypass the US control system called SWIFT, and also America's own sanctions on countries which are not adhering to Uncle Sam's policies, has further presented challenge to the dollar's hegemony. The rise of the central bank digital currencies, also called CBDCs, according to JP Morgan, could also enable countries to sidestep the US financial system in future transactions. Now, sample this. In the 1970s, the US dollar accounted for 85% of global foreign exchange reserves. But this number has dropped to 58% in 2022. Countries are increasingly turning to alternative options like gold. In fact, central banks of countries like India, China, Russia, and Turkey have accumulated more gold than ever, gold being the original currency of the world. On the other hand, currencies like Australian dollar, Swiss franc, euro are also gaining traction. More importantly, oil trade has added a different equation. China and India, two biggest oil importers, have expanded BRICS blocs and have offered an opportunity to negotiate oil imports in their own currencies, which reduces dependence on the dollar-based system. In fact, China has already taken steps in this direction, establishing currency swap agreements with countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia to settle transactions in its own currency. So we see de-dollarization is more of a war for United States to save the dollar's status quo and eventually America's status quo in global finance and world order. That's it for Mint Explains. We shall see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.